just being intentional about, putting your family as a priority and taking that time. I think that that's essential. And that's kind of what, when you're pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring into other people, that's one thing that just really fills me up and enables me to keep on going. So.
Welcome to Broad Strokes, a paint contracting podcast for women by women. We know how much hard work and dedication it takes to run a successful painting business, and this is the place for us broads to BS all about it. Join your host, Tana Todd, and celebrate the achievements of women who are kicking ass in the world of paint contracting. Let's BS about it. Well, this is the inaugural podcast recording for this brand new production we're putting on. I'm so excited to have you. Listeners, everybody out there in a wide world of paint. My name is Tana Todd. I hail originally from the city of Spokane, Washington. I found myself in Denver, Colorado after doing a tour of duty in the military for about 6 years, going to college in Fort Collins, Colorado, and then eventually found my way to Nick May's office, where he brought me on as a marketing specialist for his team here. And it was a surprise and an honor when he said, "Tana, I want you to host a podcast." And I'm like, "Are you sure about that? Is this a good idea?" He said, "This is a great idea." And so he put a lot of confidence in me, and that kind of has me built up today. And you were the first name on the list of people to call and say, "Hey, you got to get her on the show. You got to warm it up with Corrie." So welcome to Broad Strokes. We're all broads here, just talking about life in the world of paint. And I remember asking you if you felt like broad was a derogatory term for women. So tell me how you feel about being called a broad today.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love the creative aspect of it. Any kind of thing like that. I don't take offense to anything, so I'm very hard to offend, and I just don't get uptight and roll with the punches. So I love the idea of it. I love that Nick chose you. And just talking with you a couple times, you just have a great personality. I think you're fun and relatable. I think you're going to be able to create such a positive impact. So I think that it is such a great thing to bring somebody like you in here, and thank you for serving the country. I think that says a lot about you as a person too. So I'm excited about it. I love the name. I love Broad Strokes. I think it was creative, original, and I think what you're doing with it is going to be awesome.
Thank you so very much. And don't be confused, everyone out there listening. Of course, we'll paint in some broad strokes here, but we like to get into the finer details and cut in a nice sharp line on the occasion. I'm really brushing up on my painting puns, so we need to have like a painting meter that counts up in the corner every time we do this. How many times can you say the word brush and roll in the same conversation? Anywho, that's probably old hat for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
We speak a different language, I think, sometimes.
That's so great. Well, since I have so much military background, if you ever catch me using acronyms, you're like, what? Just pause me and say, what do you mean by that? So,
love it.
What I want to make the theme today of our cast is origin stories, right? I'm a huge fan of superheroes and superheroines. I think that the world could use a few superheroes every once in a while, and every great superhero has a great superhero origin story, right? So I gave everybody a little like sprinkle of my origin story, but we'll get back to that later. It's not as important as your origin story. So I want to take us on a way back time machine to the very, very beginning when Corrie decided that she was going to pursue life as an entrepreneur and be a woman abroad of the brush. So tell me how it all began.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy, and it was back in 2015. I have not been a painter officially for that long, in comparison with a lot of these other finishers in the industry. And I had done some other things. I was a teacher for 5 years. My husband and I, we had a leadership team, and we spoke on entrepreneurship and things like that. And so I had done a lot of things prior to 2015, but in 2015, life hit hard, and I was at the lowest point in my life that I had ever been, and I just needed a break. So I went out to Oklahoma to visit my sister Megan, and she was expecting her first child at the time. And she had just moved out to Oklahoma with her husband, her new husband, and they didn't have a lot of friends out there yet. And I said, well, I'm here, I'm yours. What do you need help with? And she said, well, I would love your help with our nursery. I know that you've done a lot of painting, and because, you know, I've always taken painting classes and, you know, any kind of medium I could get my hands on, pottery, sculpture, drawing, you know, just anything. I loved it. And my senior year of high school, I had 8 art classes, you know, just packed, and they were all independent studies by that time because it was just something I could pour myself into, and I always had a passion for it. I just never had pursued it. So when I was out visiting her, she was like, help me with my nursery. And so the whole time she had me painting like little pictures and furniture and murals, and I did like a globe for her and just all of these different things. So by the time that I left, her nursery was beautiful and ready for Kinley, her firstborn. And she said, Corrie, you really have a gift for this. You need to go into business. I said, you know, I was feeling the same thing. And it was the first time in a long time that I had felt like I had a purpose. Because like I said, it was the lowest point in my life. And I was just like, I was searching and struggling and like just kind of trying to find my way back to who I used to be. And so it was that it ignited a passion in me, I guess, is the way to say it. And the day that I got home from Oklahoma, I got this random phone call from one of my mom's friends, Mariana, and she said, hey, Corrie, I know you love to paint. Would you consider painting my kitchen cabinets? And it was crazy, the timing of it all and the way that it all worked out. And my family is just a family of entrepreneurs. My husband is a crazy entrepreneur. My mom and dad both have their own practices, and or my dad has a practice. My mom has run several businesses. My sister and brothers, like they all have businesses. So I threw it out to the family and I said, this is my idea. I want to go into business. I really don't know the direction. But what do you think? And I need a name. I need, you know, just all of this stuff. Within a week, I had my name, my EIN number, my website, my Facebook, you know, like I had everything set up with everybody's help, and we were off and running. So it was pretty wild. I had never painted a kitchen cabinet, you know, before. And I cannot imagine. I mean, it's still holding up today. She still says it's beautiful and wonderful, but man, what I've learned from that point, it still blows my mind. It's pretty crazy, but that was kind of the start of it all.
Gosh, only 5 years ago, and you've come a long way from then, huh? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Well, what I love about this cast is we're sharing video, and we're going to integrate this in part of our social media. And I just want to tell listeners that you're going to be able to see pictures of that nursery that she painted. And I have them here on my phone, and it is truly gorgeous. Just the details are so fine, and lots of beautiful, intricate. You know, we've got a theme of cream colors and turquoise, which I love. Just wonderful. So we'll make sure you guys get to take a sneak peek at that. Probably the Home and Garden televisionist best nursery I've seen in a little while. I just absolutely love it. And you said she had a boy or girl?
She had a girl. Her name was Kinley. And since then, she has Nicholas, and she just had a baby last week, 2 weeks ago. Oh my gosh. She had a new baby.
A new baby.
I mean, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and between us, there's 17 kids under the age of 13. So there's a lot of us.
Big family, lots of names to remember. That's a big volleyball team. So I don't think anybody's going to hold it against you.
Megan was a 3-time All-American libero. So we're all volleyball players. We love the game.
That's amazing. I bet that nursery held up over time, because for me, you know, I'm a huge fan of kind of like that in-between space of gender and color. And this is a very gender neutral space. I just adore it, without it being, just farm animals or just, yellows and greens. It's just very soft and lovely. Yeah. I've also got a fabulous picture of those kitchen cabinets. You painted them in what appears to be a metallic gray or a regular flat gray.
It was like the lighting was off, because I take much better pictures now too. When I look back to some of the pictures that I took at the beginning, holy cow! It was actually like a dark greenish blue color. and it had some glazing on it too. So it did kind of give it a metallic type look, I guess, with the clear coat that we had put on it, because I had done kitchens all by myself for the first 3.5 years. So yeah, and like I said, I did the best with the knowledge that I had. But I mean, little did I know about anything that I know now, like industrial coating, spraying, and like all of the stuff that I do now. I mean, I had no clue that it even existed 5 years ago.
So I guess you did a little bit of YouTube University work, yeah?
Well, kind of, and I took there was a local paint store here and they did like a clay mineral chalk-based paint, and so I took some classes there. I did a little bit of YouTube, of course, and then Facebook. I started getting involved in some of the Facebook groups and just kind of learning through there before we started our own, because what I found too was there was information and it was all over the place. It was like some people told you to do this, some people told you to do this, some people told you to prep, some people said you don't have to prep, some people said you had to sand, some people said no sanding. So it was just like no matter where you turned, you were getting bombarded with all of this information, and some of it, the majority of it, was misinformation. And so we created the Kitchen Cabinet Painting Experts group for homeowners and DIYers and even professionals who are learning a lot on a daily basis to teach people how to do it the right way. Because I know when I was going through that process of refining and trying to figure it out, it was just so challenging. So in that group, only the experts who have been refinishing are able to answer the questions. So you're going to get information and get your questions answered from a valid source who's going to set you up for success, instead of people who are trying to make a quick buck off of their product or what have you. And so we have a system in there, and we have units in that group so people can follow the units and go out and get good results. So we try to learn from our mistakes and try and find, some of our needs and fill those needs for other people so they can avoid a lot of the mistakes that we made along the way.
Mistakes make us what we are today. Sometimes Absolutely. Learning the hard way is the most permanent way to learn how to do the right way.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy lessons out there that I've learned. And I think the best experience isn't your own experience. It can be other people's experience to help you avoid some of those same mistakes if you're willing to listen and learn. So I have had so many people reach out and help me to avoid some of the mistakes, but without a doubt, you're going to experience your own mistakes and failures, and like you said, that's sometimes the best way to learn more permanently.
That's right.
You say this, but maybe I'll try it anyway, because I've done that a couple times too.
What if we just mistakes?
You were right about that one.
That's so great. Well, she'll learn her something today. Can you recall any big goof ups that you had to kind of walk back and make some fixes to, like the big one?
Well, the great thing is, we have such incredible customers, and I think that they love us so much that they don't want to call us and tell us if they have any issues. So I tend to call people and I'm like, I just want to check in, see how you're doing. And they're like, oh, well, actually. So, there was, at the beginning, I was told with this product that I was using that I could just wipe it with, soap and water, and I didn't need to sand, and it was just prep and then paint, and it was super easy. And yeah, that does not work. So I was like, looking back, like some of those, I just didn't know any better, and I took people's advice as sound, because why would I give advice to somebody if it wasn't going to set them up for success? So I took it as, that's what I should do, because that's what you said will get me results. And it didn't. And so, we take it as we take it seriously when we give advice to people in our group and in all of my groups, and even on my Facebook page. Anytime we're giving out advice, we want to make sure that it's going to set people up for success, because otherwise it's,
right.
I take pride in that, just setting people up for success and giving them valid information and learning it through the process, because when we did start, I was still using chalk paint. We were rolling off of paper plates, and we were, just doing what we knew how. But as people said, I think 5 years ago, the industry was a lot different than it was. I mean, now I feel like our industry shares so much information and we raise each other up, and it's just a different atmosphere than what it was at the beginning. At the beginning, it was very closed-minded and very, I've done it this way for 30 years, and this is the way you have to do it. But what we found was, as I was going and as we were progressing and people would say something like that, I would be like, okay, I'm open. Show me how to do it. Teach me. What do you do? How do you do it? And then I would learn and apply it and get good results. So I was like, okay, we're improving our process. And then I would keep on doing that. And every time somebody would come at me and say, well, that's not how you do it, or why are you doing it that way? I'd say, show me how you do it. I would love to learn from you. And instead of having an ego about it and saying my way is great, it was like, no, I want to learn from you. Like, show me, teach me. And I feel like now I would consider myself one of the best finishers in the industry. I would consider our business one of the best finishers in the industry, only because I've surrounded myself with the very best of the best. You know what I mean? And they've raised up my game to levels that I never even knew existed and could have ever thought possible. So it's just a matter of choosing your association. I believe that you will be who you are 5 years from now because of your association and the books that you read. I feel like if you surround yourself with wealth mentality or just the best of the best, and you're putting great things into your mind, you're going to achieve things that you never thought possible. And so that's really all I've done, is just surrounded myself with the best, and in turn they've raised our game to really be able to serve people and provide the best service.
That's incredible. I really applaud your initiative and willingness to go through and build a community to help elevate the trade, right? This is a big concept, floating around here in the IMA studio and with the new Pro Painter Network that might have been, putting a bug in the ear of a few listeners out there as well. So that's amazing. I think it was Socrates or one of those great philosophers of the old yore that said, I am the wisest man because I know that I know nothing. And it is right. And that beginner's mindset of just accepting the advice, accepting some coaching, accepting some bad advice, and just working with that, getting your hands dirty, getting some, rolling a crappy kitchen cabinet and getting a call back, and then learning to manage relationships, right? I'm sure that relationship management also became easier and better over time. You don't strike me as the type that struggled with that really at all, but...
Well, I've read so many people skills books. It does not come naturally, but I think how to win friends and influence people, and relating with people, and friendship factor, and like all of the people skills books that I've read, they've really helped my business as far as connecting with people and relating with them, and just creating that community, not just with our customers, but with all of our group members, and just, I think so many people lack people skills. And I think you're so right with your quote. I think the greatest hindrance to growth is ego. If you have an ego about something, then you are blocking yourself from learning from somebody else who may have something that they could offer to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that can be a huge barrier to entry in so many professions. This is a women forward cast, right? And my little history, I've basically been in male dominated industries my entire life, and worn that hat and kind of bore that struggle a little bit, and the ego that comes along with the decades of knowledge and tradition. Traditions can change. And it's really important that even those stuck in their ways, have an opportunity or feel empowered to kind of accept some new. My other job that I work for Nick. That's my 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I'm also a motorcycle instructor. And kind of an interesting job. Really fun, hard work. Oh, grueling hard work in the sun. But we have a concept that is called the beginner's mindset that we like to impress upon our students. I will occasionally get a rider come in. Dude's been riding a Harley for 45 years, dirty with no endorsement, right? And you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, then they get out on my range and they start to struggle a little bit, and kind of breaking through that ego barrier gently with encouragement has been really successful for me. And then seeing, growth even in the most experienced of person can be very exciting.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, there was a guy who said, it wasn't directed at me, it was an answer to another question in another group. And he was like, Corrie is sweet and all, but she doesn't deserve the following that she has because of her lack of experience. And of course, when you have a group like we do who always looks out for one another, all of that stuff always gets back to me. And I was like, I was like, okay, well, they can think that, but it's not just about painting. It's not just about refinishing. It's about how you serve. I was thinking over this the other night, and, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You've heard that quote, but I don't think it stops there. I don't think it's just who you know. Because there's a lot of people who know great people, but they don't do anything with it. I think it's who you know and how you grow and the seeds that you sow. I think it's the combination of all of that. And when you're sowing good seeds into people and you're continually pouring and adding value to people on a daily basis and improving yourself along the way. So what I noticed was, as I started to break through some of those barriers and learn from some of the experts and do new things and then share that information and pass it forward, other people started doing the same things too. Well, if she can do it, then I can do it too. And so in turn, it was like we kind of raised each other up through the whole process, and it's continually growing. So I think when people make comments like that, it's a reflection of their own character and not me, because people can say anything about me, but I know if in my heart what I'm doing is right and what I'm doing is pure and my motives are to help people, then nothing else can touch me. Like I just take it as, hey, that's a reflection of your character and your ego and your self-image. Because if you think that I don't deserve my following, maybe that's because you have a smaller following and you're maybe jealous. I don't know. Whatever it is. I don't know. That's my rant.
That's the rant. And that's the grinding of the gears. So, I'm...
Like, it does push me, but at the same time, it's not like I don't get offended over it or whatever. I just like, okay, that's your view. That's who you are. But I know what I'm doing is right, and we're going to keep on serving people, and we can't go wrong.
That's right. Service-oriented attitude. That is really, truly, what a superhero is all about, is serving others and serving that cause. And
It's so weird to be, like, even considered in that range, because I feel like, I know when I did a podcast with Nick May, he asked what my superpower was. And I was like, my superpower is my association. Like, because I think, like, the people that I surround me with, they are my superheroes and my superpowers. So, like, to be even considered a superhero, like, it's kind of crazy to me.
Well, we don't want to put you on too high of a pedestal here. No,
Thank you.
It's all about community.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Tana, it really is who you surround yourself with. And I feel like you are where you are in life because of the choices that you make. And you can change where you are if you don't like your position, just by surrounding yourself with great people. And really, our moderators in our group, they're some of my best friends in life. I haven't even met some of them in person yet, but they lift me up on a daily basis, and we lift each other up, and we help each other grow. And like they are the real superheroes in my mind. Like they're incredible, and they're constantly serving and pouring into people.
That's incredible. I got to rethink my plan for swag for this show. I'm going in the direction of really great headscarves and bandanas that are very colorful, but I think I'm going to maybe consider reaching out and see who makes capes. And
there you go.
yeah, maybe we can get some capes issued out and send a big box of them over to you.
Oh, that'd be great. I have a lot of people that I would give them to.
Amazing. Yeah, the Cape Cast. Here we are. That's wonderful.
Would be fun.
I was gonna ask too about attitudes and that kind of the change over time that you've noticed within the industry, right? Specifically, experts in the kitchen cabinet field. Have you noticed a shift since you started the group?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that it's definitely in our group particular, and I know Nick Slavic's doing a lot to enhance this initiative too, of just the sharing information. I think those like-minded folks in the industry who are just really, and of course Nick May and everything that he's doing with the Business Brush, and I think that it's just raising everybody up. They say raising tide raises all ships, and it's true. I think the more information we share and the more we help each other, it just raises the standards of our industry, and it helps each other grow. And I think in turn across the board, I think everybody has really raised up who has bought into the sharing philosophy. And I think that those who are still stuck in the ways that they have been doing for 30 years, they're going to be left behind, because everybody is growing at such a fast pace, not just the refinishers, but the manufacturers as well, because they see, like now through social media, it's like we're constantly posting the best products out there. And, now we've got the water-based industrial coatings, which are excellent, but how can we improve them? And then as the manufacturers bring out and release new things, then we're promoting it and testing it and trying it. And I think it's raising the manufacturers as well as the refinishers. So the entire industry as a whole is just growing. And I think we're going to see a lot more growth here in the future.
Cool. So on note of growth too, I have to ask, what is your perception of the amount of women who are, rolling up their sleeves and getting dirty in this industry? Have you seen that increase as well? Or what is your kind of take on that, the gender balance, as it were?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's great. I think that a lot of women are starting to roll up their sleeves and get out there and start doing it. I think a lot of people are willing to, overcome some of the hurdles that they've, and fears. Like they're starting to overcome some of the fears that they had about maybe starting their own business or about, doing their first kitchen or, we've seen a lot of people in the furniture refinishing industry start to navigate more towards cabinets now too, because there's definitely a need for cabinet refinishers, and we want to be able to teach them how to do it right, because there is the difference between furniture and kitchen cabinets from that world, because I've done both, and we do both in our business. So just raising everybody up and helping to open up those doors. But I think that a lot more women are starting to engage in the industry. Our whole team is women, and so we love it, and we have a focus. I mean, in our business, our philosophy is God, family, business in that order. So I have some moms, I have some grandmas, but they all have a heart to serve and to help, and they work their tails off and they get great results. So the culture that we've created, if one of their kids is sick, we're like, we get it, that's, your family should come first. You need to be where you need to be. And in that, we try to keep our order of priorities in at the forefront, and kind of are a little bit more flexible. And moms, we have a big responsibility, especially moms of young kids. And so we try and make it work. But I've seen a lot more women jump in, and I love it.
It takes a village, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. That is awesome. Yeah. You mentioned that there are some hurdles and some maybe perceived fears, right? What we say in motorcycling is fear. What causes fear is when we think that what's happening shouldn't be happening, right? And I've listened to Nick tell his story about how his dad was like, you're not going to be a painter. You're going to go to college and you're going to be a proper lawyer or something respectable, right? And I think about, like what turns the key in the lock that says, I will try this. What are those hurdles that you perceive, specifically for women who might consider this industry, and how might you advise them to kind of overcome those fears and perceptions?
I think that there's so many, and I can completely relate because I've had a lot of them going through, One for me was spraying. I think it's just kind of fear of the unknown, because you don't know what you don't know. And so for me, I just kind of had, I can't do that, and then I was like, well, why can't I? All right, let's do it. And then once I did it, I was like, why did I ever brush and roll? It was like, it was one of those things. And then another fear of mine was spraying on site. What am I going to do in a customer's home? I don't want to damage anything. I don't want to hurt anything. So I think every time I had one of those fears, I was like, who has fruit on the tree? Who has done it? Because I know everybody puts on their pants the same way. So if somebody else has done it, then I can do it too. So I was like, who's done it and who has been successful with it? Who has good fruit on the tree? And I would seek them out. I would get educated, and then I would walk through it. And so, spraying on site, just reaching out, getting the information, going and doing it. And then every time I did it, I was like, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought, and so every time it was like the spraying industrial coatings was another one. I was afraid of like mixing 2K polys and what if I don't get my ratios right? What if I leave it in the pot for too long? What if it, damages my gun? All of these what ifs. And then I was like, well, we'll just do it. And then after I did it, I was like, wow, that wasn't nearly as bad. So just kind of busting through each of those barriers, even running classes on my own. It was, I don't know if I can do this. I need a partner to do this. And so like doing that and then having that fall flat. And now I think every experience that I've gone through has built me into the person that I've become today and has prepared me for where I'm at. Because now we're running classes. I'm bringing in different experts from all over the country, and we're running a class a month and just adding value to people in different aspects. So it's just like those things that I've busted through and even some of those failures that I've experienced, they've all prepared me for where I'm at today. Even like another fear was replacing doors. Like what if there's a damaged door? Or what if they have oak and they want maple, and replacing doors? And so I contacted Denny Jantz, who's one of our moderators, and I was like, Denny, I know you do this all the time. Can you teach me how to do this or walk me through it so that we can do this and just offer another service to our customers? And he's like, Corrie, how about I come out and run a class on it for you? And so he's coming here August 29th and running a class on replacing cabinet doors. And so just kind of seeking out those professionals and who has fruit on the tree, getting educated, and then just taking a step. It doesn't take like this giant leap. It's just, those baby steps, and you just walk forward and slowly walk through it. And then by the time you're on the other side, you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be nearly as challenging as what you had envisioned in your mind, and you'll come out better on the other side for it.
Right. Sometimes the biggest barrier is in your head.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
I found that out too in my life. Absolutely. I've never been one to not just send it. I typically just ball into a cannonball and jump off the cliff. But, there have been some times, later in life as my identity has changed from being a service member to a civilian again. What is my place? Mm-hmm. What is my purpose? What can I do? What is my new plunge? Right? So stepping into a role outside of strict military, this and that, and air defense artillery and all that good stuff was really challenging for me. And so now getting to be comfortable again in my own skin and having mentors that have really helped me along the way and kind of find my path has been just incredibly important. And I can't agree with you more, and I can't recommend enough to everyone in the world listening on this show or friends of mine. If you get stuck in a rut, you hit that really low, you got to reach out and ask somebody. Got to reach out and touch somebody. Tell them, hey, I'm struggling. I bet that was pretty hard for you in 2015 when you really had to think like, okay, I got to admit that something has to change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and it was, I know one of the things that drives me is just at that point, I just felt like we had been so high in business and like we had done a lot of great things with that. And like at that low, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm left with nothing. I can't provide for my children. I can't do, like, what the heck am I going to do? And so one of the things that like just drives me is I never want to be put in that position again, ever. I won't be, I won't be left with nothing. I won't be, I will do whatever it takes to just push forward and thrive and provide and make sure that I'm never put in that position again, because it was out of my control at that point, but it will never be out of my control again.
Never
and just
again.
kind of making sure that I do everything in my power to move forward and bust through a lot of barriers and just keep on impacting and bringing my kids along for the ride and showing them how to do that so they will never be put in that position.
Right.
When COVID hit, it was crazy, and we do a kitchen a week, so it was like go, 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 go. And when COVID hit, I was like, okay, what do we do? I had doors off of my kitchen from December through March because I had gotten sick in my short window of time to put my doors back on. And so my doors had never gotten on. So I was like, okay, well, I will put my doors on my kitchen and we'll just make lives out of it and we'll do stuff in the house. We did that for 1 week, and then people started calling and, hey, I've got furniture. Can I drop it off in your shop? Hey, I know you can't go into homes, but can I bring you stuff? And so after that first week, we had been like bombarded with work, and my kids were home, like we had talked about earlier. My kids were home, and I was like, okay, well, we need something that we can do together and keep them occupied. So we launched our Inspired by You coatings line. So I partnered with Clark Deco and Malaysia Industrial Coatings, and so we launched this coatings line, and it was so great because this whole time my kids, they've learned what it takes to run a business. It taught them how to think outside of the box too, because we're losing the income from doing a kitchen a week, but how can we make that up, and how can we create some additional income to supplement for that? So it taught them that, and then it taught them the work ethic, because I brought them in every day and we were pouring paint and we were doing labels and we were, packaging and shipping. And my daughter Alexa, she's the inventory queen. She knows how to do inventory in our shop. And so there was so many blessings despite all of the obstacles. And it wasn't like when life hit and like the COVID came and we were all contained. It was like, okay, well, how can we make this work, and what can we do, and let's find a solution. Let's be as positive about it and make all of this negative into a positive. And so I think not one time, I don't think our kids were stressed out about it. They missed their friends, of course, like everybody else, but they saw the way that, and my husband, he partnered with Under Armour, and they've been doing virtual camps and all kinds of stuff. So like just kind of thinking outside of the box, and this is our situation, but how can we make it work, and what can we do in this situation to thrive and to persevere and to keep our spirits high, despite everything that's going on around us.
It's not really what knocks you down. It's how you get back up again, right?
Yeah.
2020 has been full of zigs, and it sounds like you've been zagging really well.
Yeah. Well, it's been a little wild and off the wall, but we're having a blast and just kind of rolling with the punches and just trying not to get too stressed out about it. And, just it does get overwhelming at times because, now we have our refinishing business, we have our Inspired by You coatings line, and now we're doing Inspired by University, where we're doing the hands-on training classes. So like between the mix of all of it can get really overwhelming, and I don't have a lot of time. And then now I'm coaching my girls volleyball team because why not, right? Let's just throw that into the
just do it all.
It's just, you only have one life to live, so why not pack it all into this one life, right?
Right. You got to do what you can with the time that you have. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, well, you've given me tons of your time this morning. Thank you. I was going to ask, one last question maybe before we wrap up here. When you're not coaching volleyball and not strategizing with your business and building your community and doing all these things, what do you do for fun or to relax?
Well, my husband and I, we've been very intentional about doing date nights, and I think like we need that for ourselves, just because we're both like our lives are so crazy, and so we do a date night every other Saturday, and then in the other Saturdays we do family nights. So Saturday's like our night, and I think just being intentional about taking that time to regroup and just connect, because it's not always going to be like this. We're not always going to have small kids and events and, running from sport to sport and, all of that stuff. So there's going to come a point in time when it's just us. So we had to take that time to maintain that connection and go out. So we do that. And I think just being intentional about, putting your family as a priority and taking that time, I think that that's essential. And that's kind of what, when you're pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring into other people, that's one thing that just really fills me up and enables me to keep on going. So I think that really helps.
That's amazing. Yeah, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Right?
Without a doubt.
So this Saturday, is it family night or date night?
This Saturday is a family night. We just went on a date night last Saturday. Now trying to date and trying to find a restaurant that's open and one that, will seat you. It's been a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to get pretty creative, but it's been fun. So this Saturday coming up is a family night, and, we do mini golf or, bowling, whatever the kids want to do. Sometimes we just hang out and watch a movie. We used to go to the theaters, but none of them are open.
Yeah, that's a thing now.
Yeah, so whatever. But I mean, our kids love that, and it's been a blessing now that my 11-year-old, she's a certified babysitter now, so we don't have to find babysitters all the time, which has been a blessing too. We're at that next stage of life, which, it's crazy. I have loved every stage that my kids have gone through, from the time they were born to now, but the older they get, the more fun it gets for me, and just being able to spend time with them, and they're like little people that just have these incredible personalities, and I love spending time with them and seeing them develop into these incredible human beings that are going to be world changers. They're crazy, insane, awesome, just little kids who are going to grow up to be amazing adults who are going to be impact players. So yeah, it's been fun. I love our family. I love helping people. So the more I can get of all of that stuff, the better it is.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we are recording this. I'm doing a screen recording of our chat today. And for those of you out there listening who can't watch the video now or maybe come back to this later, I just want you to know that the glow and joy in the expression on Corrie's face when she's talking about her children and date night is that fills me up. So I woke up like a little late today and I was like, whoa, I have a big podcast and I need to get it together. And Tana, what are you doing? Are you professional or not to get it together? And then sit down and talk to a really warm human being like you. That has just made my morning. So you filled my cup today. I hope that your family night is a riot, and shout out to your kids. I hope that they know just how proud of them that you are. And I'm sure they do.
Yeah. I think they do. I tell them all the time.
Good. That matters, being, the daddy's girl and hearing those affirmations from my parents and my dad was so important. So, good on you, Corrie. Well, gosh, thank you so much for taking the time to tell me about your origin story on the Broad Strokes cast. I'm looking forward to sharing the great pictures of your very first nursery project and cabinets. You've inspired me. I'm just thrilled to have had you, and looking forward to down the line maybe doing another show.
Sure, anytime you like.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you again. Get out there and do the day, take the day. It's hump day Wednesday here, even though this isn't going to produce today. So if this comes out on a hump day, you all get after it, get your hustle on, and don't forget to take a second and breathe. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You got it. Thank you, Tana.
Thank you, Corrie. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into Broad Strokes, a paint contracting podcast for women by women.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for behind-the-scenes content, guest galleries, memes, and more. If you want to be on the show, shoot us an email to broadstrokes@imamedia.com. And until next time, I'm your host, Tana Todd, and it's been a pleasure BSing with you today.
Sponsored by Benjamin Moore and Estimate Rocket.